In any regulated industry, words like control, compliance, and auditability can kind of feel like a heavy burden, just this checklist of hurdles you've got to overcome. But what if that's the wrong way to think about them entirely? Let's explore how these aren't just processes to endure, but actually essential properties of any system you can truly trust.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle a pretty common misconception about compliance. Then we'll reframe it as a core feature of a system, which leads us to the single most important element for any audit: predictability. From there, we'll connect the dots to how controls actually maintain accountability, and we'll wrap it all up by looking at what makes a system truly accountable by design. Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start by addressing the way most of us have been taught to think about compliance, and I have a feeling this is an experience many of you will recognize. This right here, this gets to the very heart of the problem, doesn't it? We've all been trained to see compliance as something that gets layered on top of our real work, a series of gates and checklists that feel like they exist outside the system itself. It becomes this process we just have to get through, not a principle we build with from the start. So what's the alternative? Let's totally reframe this. Instead of a process that we have to bolt on at the end, let's start thinking of it as a property of the system itself. This is the core shift in perspective, and it changes everything. And there it is. This is the fundamental idea. Compliance isn't some action you take on a system. No, it's an inherent property of the system, just like its performance or its security. It has to be designed in from day one. This lays out the two mindsets perfectly. You've got the old view over on the left that treats compliance as this external thing that just adds friction and slows everything down, but the new view on the right sees it as an internal enabling feature. It's not about slowing down, it's about reducing risk by design. Okay, so if compliance is a system requirement, what does that system actually need to provide to be truly auditable? Well, it turns out just keeping a record of what happened, that's not nearly enough. Think about it for a second. An audit log can tell you what happened, sure, but it can't tell you why. And if a system's behavior is all over the place, if it's inconsistent, then its actions are basically arbitrary. And you just can't defend arbitrary behavior to an auditor. There's no case to be made. Predictability is the absolute bedrock of any defensible system. It just means that given the exact same inputs, the system produces the exact same outcome every single time. That consistency is what lets you trace, review, and ultimately stand behind its decisions. And this distinction is so critical. We all use mental models, our intuition, our gut feeling to understand things. But an auditor doesn't care about your gut feeling. They need evidence. And that requires formal models built on provable, predictable logic. To be accountable, you have to show your work, and predictability is what makes that possible. So how do we get this essential predictability? Let's look at the mechanism that actually creates it, and in doing so, protects accountability every step of the way. It all starts with controls. See, controls aren't there to slow you down. They exist to constrain variability, to define the field of what's allowed. This constraint is exactly what makes a system predictable. And that predictability, in turn, makes its decisions traceable. And once decisions are traceable, boom, accountability is preserved. Each step is a direct result of the one before it. So let's stop seeing compliance as the brakes. It's the steering. It's the framework that ensures every single outcome can be explained, defended, and justified. The goal isn't just to build fast systems, it's to build justifiable ones. So what does a system that's built around this philosophy actually look like? Well, this is where we see a huge difference between the tools we might use every day and the systems designed for high-stakes, regulated environments. A truly accountable system is engineered to do four things really well. It constrains variability, which naturally reduces surprises and lowers risk. The end result is behavior that is fundamentally transparent. It can always be traced, reviewed, and explained whenever you need it to be. And this brings us to a really key distinction. We often look at consumer AI and marvel at its wide-open capabilities, right? Enterprise AI, on the other hand, can sometimes seem a bit more constrained, but that's not because it's less capable. It's because it's optimizing for a different and, frankly, a much harder problem: accountability. Those design choices are absolutely deliberate. So I'll leave you with a final question to chew on. When the stakes are high and every single decision is under a microscope, what truly matters more? The range of things a system can do, or the integrity of what it can justify?